Never shall innocent blood be shed. Yet the blood of the wicked shall flow like a river. The three shall spread their blackened wings and be the vengeful striking hammer of God. You people have been chosen to reveal our existence to the world. You will witness what happens here today, and you will tell of it later. All eyes to the front. You must watch, dear. It'll all be over soon.
Now you will receive us. We do not ask for your poor or your hungry. We do not want your tired and sick.
It is your corrupt we claim.
It is your evil that will be sought by us.
With every breath, we shall hunt them down.
Each day, we will spill their blood till it rains down from the skies.
Do not kill, do not rape, do not steal. These are principles which every man of every faith can embrace.
These are not polite suggestions. These are codes of behavior. And those of you that ignore them will pay the dearest cost.
There are varying degrees of evil. We urge you lesser forms of filth, not to push the bounds and cross over into true corruption, into our domain.
For if you do, one day you will look behind you and you will see we three. And on that day, you will reap it.
And we will send you to whatever God you wish.
And shepherds we shall be, for thee, my Lord, for thee. Power hath descended forth from thy hand. May swiftly carry out thy command. So we shall flow ever forth to thee, and teeming with souls shall it ever be.
In nomine Patri.
Et Filii, Spiritus Sancti.
How far are we going to take this, Star?
The question is not how far. The question is, do you possess the Constitution? The depth of faith to go as far as is needed?
Hello, guys.
Good evening.
Well, you guys went a week without us being here. In a way.
Yeah, we were still here. We had to do that. That we had to do that. It was good and it was necessary.
Yeah, last week we had our premiere of our interview we had with the late RP Thor. So you guys should check that out. Good man will be missed.
Indeed.
Yeah, last week I had my kiddos and Plutarch was doing some stuff with his professional life. So we weren't there last week. So it was a good time to air that episode.
Oh, we were kind of there in the comments.
It needed to get out there. It was a good video. There's been a lot of talk about, or a lot of people have honored Thor in various ways. This was our way of honoring his legacy, and just a way to demonstrate how you can just have a good conversation with someone. And in general, we agree with Thor on most things. We didn't go into differences at all. There's so much we have in common, and we can honor the man. If there was more of that in the world, we'd be better off. Just discuss the things you have in common and build bridges.
Yeah.
Everything doesn't have to be a drag out fight on every issue.
I was just going to say that. And in fact, it is my belief, and it is, I'm sure, the belief of Nick and Steve, that searching for drama, while it gets views and clicks, all it does is hurt men. You cannot help men by trying to create drama everywhere. Yeah, you might meet your ad revenue, requirements, and okay, great, but you can't help men doing that. Go ahead, Steve.
We meet our ad requirements, income from ad requirements every episode.
You mean zero?
Right. That's our requirements.
We don't want money from this. We don't want that temptation. Just keep the message.
Yeah, pretty much actually. This for us, we all have jobs. You'll probably see Nick in a new location here in a bit. If you guys remember back to our prior streams, he had a favorite hotel he was in. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I would much rather have conversations with men. The old Red Pill was a lot like that. It was conversations amongst men. They weren't trying to compete with men for views and eyeballs and stuff. They sat down, they discussed the problem, they discussed whatever problem was in front of them, and they said, okay, here's what the problem is, here's what you can do about it. And that was it. That was enough for them.
Well, things would get heated once in a while in the debates, but you respected somebody with their opinion, and it was never personal, and nobody was making any money off of it at the time. Well, a few people split off and wrote books, but I don't think they made a career out of that, except for maybe Rollo.
There wasn't the funnel revenue model wasn't followed yet.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't developed.
Now, tonight, we're actually going back to that era because maybe we are pining a little bit for that era. And Nick has been doing this sort of ongoing series on Dalrock. So tonight we're going to do another Dalrock episode. So Nick,
that's amazing. Dalrock, I I encountered, so I did ministry, I did all my things. I became red pill before I ever read Dalrock. And I came to certain conclusions, and I keep reading Dalrock. I'm like, oh, he thought the same thing I did, except I never read the guy.
The truth is like that, though, isn't it, Nick?
Yeah. I was like, dang, this guy was telling it way before I came around, and I had never heard of the guy.
So it sounds to me like you're saying the truth is timeless.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, going back to what we were saying before, if the truth is timeless, it's almost impossible to make money off of it.
Yep.
Okay. Because the truth only needs to be discovered once and replicated everywhere. So, if you have to make money off of it, then the one thing you cannot do is tell the truth. And I've encountered this in so many places recently, in my personal life, in my professional life, obviously here in the red pill space. It is impossible to make money on the truth. And what people will do is they will obfuscate the truth. They will put it behind paywalls. They will, they will say, "Oh, hey, look, you've got to sign up and be a member or whatnot." And I don't think that helps men.
None of that here, guys. You can send us an email, put us a comment in the chat. We'll try to get back with you as soon as we can, because we actually freaking care.
So before we get into Dalrock, this was what, 15 years ago? Maybe our
Starting.
started, yeah. Our Dalrock article is probably 12, at least 10 years ago. The red pill, well, it started out as a manosphere. It really hadn't even been branded the red pill at that time. And it was very small number of people who stumbled across the blogosphere and were doing these things. So the awareness was very small. The truths were there. And you know what? It's gotten more popular and more men have come on board. So kind of a lot of people know what the red pill is. But the world has not improved. Nothing has gotten better. Back in those days, it was still possible to date a woman without all of the absurdities. It's only gotten worse.
Yep.
Oh dear God!
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, man. The delusion factor has amplified at least 10 times fold, if not worse.
Because, okay, they were talking about women, yes, and the nature of women. But the idea that there's just no good women out there. No matter what I do, they're all the same. Well, kind of, but this idea that there are no good women to date, which is a really common thing to say right now, that wasn't spoken about back then. No, avoid these type of women. Watch out for these behaviors. Find a different kind of woman. We've gotten to the point. It's like it's a double face plant. Oh,
Like, oh shit.
Steve, I didn't think about it, but you're right. I met Elena about a little over 10 years ago now, and it was a different world back then.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw it coming, which is part of the reason I left the U.S. shores. But man, I do not envy what men today have to go through. And we've done lots of shows about demographics, and we're going to keep doing shows about demographics because the data keeps on coming, and the pain train keeps on rolling on. But guys, it is not going to get better from here. Because
it might take a long time.
Well,
if it gets better.
If it gets better,
easy solution.
Well, if it gets better, it's going to get a lot more painful really quick first.
Yeah, the consequences will keep increasing. I think peak feminism, feminist gynocentrism was right 2022,
Mm,
but
yeah.
the verdict's still out.
Well,
Wow.
unwinding. Well, how long is it going to take us to unwind 100 years of bad decisions?
Yeah. Good luck, guys. That's the end of the stream. Just joking.
Yep, that's all you need. Go home.
Sucks to be you.
Hey, Tacticus, I know exactly what you're saying here, and I love it. All right, so there is an actual plan for the show tonight, but we haven't been on air in a couple nights, so we're just we're just joking around with y'all.
Oh, I think it'll continue. This is going to be hopefully a lighthearted episode, but so what I did, it's Dalrock on Fireproof, but I actually started it on Eat, Pray, Love, and then he links the same ideology of Eat, Pray, Love with Fireproof.
For reference, we're talking about Fireproof, that popular Christian movie of about 15 years ago, right?
Yeah, the guy watched porn. His wife left him. I think he was watching Prawn because his wife wasn't putting out. And then he had this epiphany. He came to Jesus moment, threw the computer away, and miraculously she came back to him after effing some other guy.
So
Hooray!
egalitarianism in a nutshell.
Yeah. And Eat, Pray, Love was like this woman, she's not happy. Married, not happy. Cheats on her husband or divorces. I'm not sure which one came first. Then she finds herself in 3 different locations around the world.
Doesn't she
Where she
end up?
eats and prays and fucks.
I was going to say, doesn't she end up fucking her way through India or something
Yeah,
like that?
eat, pray, love. Hey, it's like when they say they want to travel the world, they ride the cock carousel and they're finding themselves. They're on a spiritual journey.
Well, they're definitely on some kind of journey.
So the other movie that comes to mind, now, does this relate? Thelma and Louise. Didn't I don't know that I watched the movie. I've seen some clips, but didn't those women go off the plantation and kind of go a little bit wild?
Yes,
Right.
but I'm not sure our audience is going to be old enough to really know that one. That's 91 there, guy.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Nick and I were both knee biters.
Ryan Stone might know what that one is. He's all about 80s, early 90s movies.
Okay, yeah, he would know that one.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess it just shows that some of these women gone wild themes have been out there for a long time, and it even reached the Christian world with Fireproof.
Yeah. And then there's a movie where it went too far. It was actually a movie called Wild with Reese Witherspoon, and it didn't really do so well because she didn't have the excuses, the moral excuses to excuse her bullshit. She was just out and out crazy and effing around. But we're not going to present that essay tonight. We're going to go to the Dalrock in 2010. Old Dalrock. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, comes.
Yep.
Oh,
Good.
August 22nd, 2010. So this is old Dalrock. This is before I even got married the first time. I've only been married once, but how come women don't understand how tacky movies like Eat, Pray, Love are? Mentions this thing called Spearhead. Steve, you know what Spearhead is?
Oh yeah, it was kind of the first blog. It was a group thing. One guy started it, but there were 5 or 10 different authors. Well, no, 10, 15 different authors, a few guest authors. I posted like 3 articles on the Spearhead. I mean, I wasn't one of the main ones, but I participated a lot. And unfortunately, that's where I met my second wife.
Uh-oh, so we're gonna have to deal with PTSD, Steve, tonight, guys. Just
No,
wanted
I'm over it.
All
good.
right.
Good to hear.
Well, thank you, Steve. So Spear has a post entitled "Feminist on the Defenses" as "Eat, Pray, Love" widely panned by critics. It is an excellent post which discusses how everyone is treating the abominable subject matter of the latest divorce fantasy movie with kid gloves. In the comment section, MNL shared his own story of being pressured by his wife to go to this awful movie. Damn! A bunch of my wife's girlfriends just invited my wife out to see this movie as a big couples date this weekend. The fellow husbands and most of the invited wives likely have no clue what they're about to pollute themselves with. One of the wives simply read the book thanks to Oprah's recommendation and started the snowball invitation. Shit. Any suggestions on how to turn this situation around and into something funny? My advice was to confront his wife on how tacky it was for a group of married women to be going to a divorce fantasy movie, and even tackier for them to expect their husbands to go. The very fact that they would think that this was somehow acceptable just blows me away. We have an entire society tiptoeing around bad behavior of women out of some perverse fear. So let me be the first to say it in no uncertain terms. Movies and books that fantasize about divorce, or even worse, the death of a spouse, are tacky, disgusting, and childish. If you are married and read books like this or watch movies like this, you are being tacky, disgusting, and childish. I know for what you got to say, please.
I actually want to stop here because I would say that Dalrock is being incredibly restrained in his language.
You think?
It is. This is not just tacky, disgusting, and childish. This is not just anti-Christian. This is outright evil. You are going to a movie where you revel in evil. The movie is a celebration of evil, of abomination. The movie's also a feminist propaganda tactic, and it one-shotted a shit ton of women. Okay. That's a whole separate problem. But, so Dalrock, I love you, but you pulled your punch here.
This is 2010, Dalrock.
True. That is true. We have to be mindful of the context here. So I'm going to insert, instead of tacky, disgusting, and childish, I'm going to say it is an anti-Christian evil abomination.
Oh man,
it's corrosive. Amen. It's corrosive and encouraging degenerate behavior.
And it normalizes it. So this is cool. Yes. This is like normalizing. This is normalizing what you call like Yuri Bezmenov. It's like demoralization. So it's normalizing what is wicked.
Yes, actually, demoralization, the removal of morality, and celebrating the destruction of relationships. Humans are tribal relational creatures, and you're celebrating the destruction of those relationships. That is one of the key components of demoralizing a population.
Hasn't got better in 15 years, guys. It's gotten worse.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, this abomination. Yeah, okay. And he says, I know for many stating the obvious, like I just did, may come as quite a shock. It might have been back in 2010. Hopefully for most readers, it will be a pleasant shock. For those who find this unpleasant, I'll turn it around to prove this isn't some anti-woman rant. Well, I really don't give a shit if it is or not. But anyways, if I start fantasizing about the death of my wife so I could remarry another woman, or start fantasizing about divorcing my wife for no good reason and traveling the world in celebration, uh, uh, I would be acting tacky, disgusting, and childish. No, you'd be acting like an abominable man. Yeah.
Now, okay, here's the thing. If you guys have been in a relationship where, you know, the woman is just being horrible to you, you do start to fantasize about leaving. You do. And I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's right, but being in a relationship like that where, you know, you're getting yelled at, in some cases
Mhm.
physically beat, etc.
Oh, like
It,
what happened to me in a
it,
dead
it,
bedroom?
the dead bedroom, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's good, but you would have to be inhuman not to.
I think fantasizing about having peace in your life is always a good thing.
Okay, Steve, I see what you did there. Oh, I like it. uh,
Okay.
can't
So
argue with that.
so I
Yeah,
was talking with my
I
mom.
I
I
agree
don't
with what you're saying too. But okay, my point is you're not necessarily fantasizing about evil on someone else. You just want some peace. Oh, come on. Can I have some peace? And a little piece of ass once in a while.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Most men would be happy with just a piece and even just a little bit of ass. Like it doesn't, ladies, it doesn't actually take all that much.
3 things, Steve. What do men want, Steve? Your famous phrase, 4 letters, 3 things.
RSVP. And it's not respond, s'il vous plaît. It's respect, sexual variety, and peace.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's pretty simple.
That's all it
And,
takes, ladies.
I came up with that, 9 months ago, something like that. We've mentioned it a few times. I have not been able to improve on that. For the life of me, give me those 3 things and I'm a happy man. Money. Well, okay, money's nice, but I can live without money. I don't live very well. I'm not happy without respect, sexual variety, and peace. Yeah, I'd be satisfied with those 3.
Uh,
Yeah.
Elena does a reasonably good job at it, and shocker of shockers, we've been married for 9 years now. Ladies,
Shocker. I yeah.
it works.
Hey, and it didn't work for me. I had none of those 3. But you know what I enjoy right now? At least one of them.
Peace.
Yes.
Oh, Nick.
Of all the advice, my mom says, "How do you like peace, son?" I'm like, "I usually don't take advice from women." She's like, "But you need peace, son." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right."
Well, Nick, I will say this. You have the respect of the men around you. Maybe not the women. I can't speak to that, but
I really don't care.
You've got respect too. So
They like his mannerisms. Even when he's a little bit abrasive, somehow,
Yeah.
they may not like him, but they still come around him and they're respecting him while they're disliking him.
When I try to get rid of them, then they want me all the more. I was like, dang it.
hey, Nick,
Yeah.
we've told you how to solve this. You just can't seem to bring yourself to do it.
I need to purposely simp again.
Exactly. It'll work.
That probably would work.
Just start gushing about how beautiful they are.
Ooh, that's it.
And
Buy
then,
them flowers.
Memorize some of those really corny pickup lines.
Nice.
And then just throw those at them.
Ooh, somebody fell from heaven because she looks like an angel.
Exactly.
Good night. That's so antithetical to who I am. I just like not giving a shit and tell them when I don't care. All right, chick porn. Oh, this is 5 years down the road. So this is another Dalrock article. He says, I noticed this yesterday. As number 8 in the Kindle Top 100 paid list, Prick, a stepbrother romance. The description reads, I can't stop thinking about that prick. Coulter Sterling is a prick, a filthy mouth, womanizing, crude, spoiled, arrogant prick. That the tattooed, pierced, panty melting, hot son of a celebrity. I hate him. Ooh, he slept his way through practically every girl at Brighton Academy, except for me. I'm the good girl, the responsible girl, the 4.0 class president, studied so much she never lost the big V girl. And in celebration of graduation adulthood, I just made the worst decision in the history of ever. I lost my V card to the devil himself. It was just one night. So what if it was mind blowing? Hit it and quit it, except I found out that my father, the senator, the presidential hopeful, is marrying Coulter's mother. Oh, and this summer we're hitting the campaign trail. One big happily family. I'm totally effed. What is fascinating is the contrast between our deep cultural belief that women are sexually pure by nature and the shameless consumption of porn by women. Prick has moved from number 8 to number 11 overnight. But even with it off the top 10 list, 4 of the top 10 are romance novels, including several variants of 50 Shades of Grey. Good night. To get a sense of the level of denial here, consider Jenny Erickson. Erickson is the mother of 2 who complained about her pastor spoiling her plans to ambush her husband with divorce papers. While she was very open that she was divorcing because she wasn't happy anymore, she also cast about for some sort of rationalization for her choice to destroy her family. Sound similar, guys? Okay. The best she should come up with, sound familiar, I mean. The best she should come up with was that her husband had viewed porn, and she took great solace in Matt Walsh stating that this is adultery. Erickson was not surprisingly delighted to receive this moral cover from Walsh and tweeted, Marry men, your porn habit is an adultery habit. Blah, blah, blah. I love this guy. Yet at the same time, Erickson is quite open about her own consumption of porn, which no doubt she sees as something entirely different. Not long after being confronted by Walsh for her decision to blow up her family, Erickson wrote at the Stir, hold on to your hats, 50 Shades of Grey fans. I feel like we've been waiting forever to see Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson in action as our favorite star-crossed lovers with a penchant for BDSM. But it looks like we're finally going to get a little something to whet our appetites. This stuff is most toxic because it isn't seen as toxic at all. This isn't porn, they rationalize. These people are in love. In the scheme of things, this kind of porn isn't nearly as harmful as divorce fantasies like Eat, Pray, Love, and Fireproof. However, we do women a great disservice by pretending that their corn is different and that their sexual impulses are more pure than those of men.
Okay. Question on that last line there.
Ooh.
Dalrock says that it's not as harmful as divorce fantasies. Okay. But in the line above, he says this stuff is more toxic. My view is that it is more toxic, and for the reason he states, because we don't see it as toxic at all. You look at titties on the internet, and we rightly recognize that as toxic. You know,
Okay.
women do the same thing with, you know, the male body on the internet. We rightly recognize that as toxic. But women have created an entire universe of these things that they can read, and because it's like, because it's in a book, because it's not visual, and men are the more visual creature, well, that makes it okay. But the book
Bullshit.
is actually a
Yeah.
better, well, the book is a better medium for women. Okay. And the audio book is now, yeah, exploding with this
You
in
have
this.
to have the gruff, low
Yeah,
voice.
exactly. And you're trying to tell me that because the medium is different, that makes it all okay. No, it's not. And because we don't stop that, because we don't recognize it for what it is, we let it happen. Okay. And by letting it happen, like, there is some level of shame for men. There is some level of, you know, most guys will tell you who ever been in it that, oh yeah, no, you know, I hide that. I don't let other people see that, right? Women, they'll pull out 50 Shades of Grey on a freaking bus, right? And they'll just start reading it right there. You know, and so
Yeah, there's a variant when I worked at Chick-fil-A when I was in seminary, and there's this girl. It's like, what the hell is this book? And she looked all ashamed at me because I was the pastor, you know.
no.
I was like, I'm like, and you guys think this is okay? I mean, she just brings it into work and is reading on her break in the middle of a restaurant. But hey, if I pulled out some sort of device or laptop and viewed some sort of corn, who would be going to jail?
You would. Right.
Yes.
Or, you know what? You could have just brought a Playboy and read that. And then if anybody asks, I'm reading it for the articles. Because Playboy did have some good articles in there.
But see, people would say, "Oh no," but there's pictures of scantily clad women that you know, little Timmy can see, right? But because for female stuff, it's all hidden behind the written word, and and the covers of these books are usually very nondescript. So there's nothing that you can point at to say, "Aha, that's obscenity." And you know, as men, and particularly married men, we let, well, some married men, I don't. You know, we when you let your wives read this stuff, it is no different than if you were to walk over to the computer and start you know, knocking one out on yourself, right? It's no different to them.
Mhm.
Hey,
Or
Nick,
we're like, so
Nick,
Steve.
I want to go over something really important further up, where she was looking
Okay.
for an excuse.
Oh,
Okay, ask her. She was
ask about
very
some sort
open.
of rationalization.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Hardly anybody is saying this, but Nick has
We've been
realized it,
saying this.
and I've
We've
been
been
saying
saying
this.
this. Yeah.
Religious women are some of the worst women to marry
Yes. Yes.
because they're the same, they have the same nature, but when it comes time to divorce, they need an excuse so they can save face morally. So she will search around, and remember, her mind is like a Rolodex with everything that you've done. And so
Good night.
she's going to be shuffling through that, find some match. And if you haven't really done anything wrong, she will still come up with something. Okay, so in my case, yeah, men look at porn. So all you got to do is find a link from porn to underage and then say blah, 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 blah. Therefore, he has inclinations to do this. What? He never acted on it. Oh, but he has inclinations. Now I'm justified. Okay, well, you can slam on me if you want, because I've watched porn. She knew about it. It was an issue. Well, of course, I wasn't getting any sex, but I'm just talking about an issue in the divorce. And then she never accused me of any inappropriate action, but she did accuse me of having inclinations. Holy shit. Women can read your mind and figure out, oh, wasn't there a movie? What was it? The Morality Report? With
Minority Report.
Minority Report.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same damn thing. Supposedly Christian women will develop a narrative to make the man the bad man and justify the divorce. Okay,
He's the devil himself.
let's just use this simple example of he watched porn. A non-Christian woman would say, well, that's bad. But she's not going to call it a sin and attack him for it. Yeah, it might be the reason, but that's not a reason to throw him under the bus. And in her world, saying he used porn doesn't really get her any credibility or extra sympathy. Not much, anyway. Oh, but in the Christian world, oh, that's like getting bingo.
Oh, no. Shame. He's a bad man.
And then it's not going to start with, it's not just one thing. Then she's going to build on that with a narrative. And she's going to tell that narrative to all her female friends in the church and to the pastor. And then as she lowers the boom and files or whatever, moves out or, calls the cops on him. Okay, she has already laid all the groundwork to support her narrative, her story that he's a bad man. So, you know what? A lot of Christian men say, "Oh, you got to go to church and find a good Christian woman." Okay. But some of those are the worst women you can marry. What do you have to say about this?
Amen, preacher.
Well, I've told my story. I married a Christian woman and 2.5 years later get divorced. Chief was talking about the elders, and asking. Yeah, the elders always come after the men. They do not look at what the women are doing.
Yeah.
They do not ask questions. Women are pure. They are eternally pure. And the church doesn't see it any other way. So what Steve is talking about is true, and the church will never question it. They will never question the woman's story. They will never, they will never tell her, hey, that is, yeah, you're talking, okay, he used porn, but so did you, right? Like, you don't have a leg to stand on here. The church won't do that. And I left the United States, technically married outside the church. Elena is definitely not a Protestant Christian. If you guys know anything about Russia, you know what I mean, right?
Okay.
And here we are, 10 years, we've been together for 10 years, married 9. So 2.5 years married to a Christian woman, 9 years married to she's not Protestant. But you know what I mean, right? It's like, we didn't get married because of our religion.
Well, Elena has a Russian mind, Eastern way of thinking, and
Yes.
and orthodoxy, Christian orthodoxy, is part of that.
Yes.
Even if you're not an attending member, orthodoxy is kind of in your blood. So implying she's non-Christian or not Christian is not fair. not accurate.
No, no, I wouldn't say she's not a Christian. She is she's not a Protestant Christian. She's definitely not from a Western religion. Uh, by the way, Chief, I had the exact same problem. It was a patriarchal PCA church that I was in. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I completely agree. Um, what I would say is that when Elena and I got together, it wasn't because of religion. We didn't get married in the church. We are of two different churches. It was more about who she was, and yeah, she follows a lot of the Christian Orthodox views of things, and that was it was definitely a breath of fresh air. But don't think that these Christian women out here are going to be some sort of meek, mild mannered, homemaker type 1950s
No,
homemakers. No,
don't
no,
believe the ortho bro bullshit.
yeah, or the who are the other big ones? The Catholic, who was that? Can't remember his name. I can see his face. The Catholic bros who are the Christ Pill bros who were pushing that whole
Yeah.
Christ Pill thing.
Tim Gordon,
Yes, Tim Gordon.
Trent Horn.
They aren't Trent. Well, yes, Trent Horn. The Catholic Church doesn't have the answers for you because they are co-opted by the feminism. I hate to say it, but the Russian Orthodox Church is co-opted by feminism for the benefit of a
So are
specific.
most Protestant churches.
Yeah. The Protestant
Maybe.
churches are. There are no church women out there for you. Like that. That's not an answer anymore. And now I have to pull this up. Nick, you're gonna like this.
Was that Memorial PCA in St. Louis? What was that? Revoice, the whole Revoice bull crap. Yeah. I got in trouble for that when I was licensed in the PCA. So before I was in the OPC, I was in the PCA and I was a licentiate, and I got a lot of flack for preaching against the Skittles people.
Yeah.
So for a long time, as long as I can remember, the Christians have been saying, well, to have a good marriage and to have a stability and long endurance, you need to be Christian because marriage, after all, is Christian. Yeah, okay, marriage is Christian. But throughout history, people stayed married who were not Christian.
Imagine that.
Yes.
And so, you know what? I know a lot of, over my life, I've encountered a lot of people who weren't practicing Christians. Maybe nominally they would say they are, but they weren't, declared Christians. But yet they had good marriages, or at least the marriages endured, or at least their marriages were no worse than the marriages of the Christian, Catholic, evangelical, Protestant, whoever. I couldn't really detect a difference. Because growing up, remember, I was born in 1962. So so I was around in the 70s when divorce really wasn't prevalent. And, I didn't know that many kids, if any, that I can think of that were from divorced families. Everybody stayed together, regardless of whether they attended church. So how does attending church together improve your chances when, look at the world today? There's no difference.
There's probably more intact Muslim families than there are Christian families.
Today? Yeah, probably. Hard truth,
And
guys.
I'm not an advocate of Islam by any means. So
Yeah. That does look, the truth is what it is. We can disagree with the religion and still look at the numbers and go, yep, is what it is.
And this is what your most conservative Christian women will do. If she's not happy, what do? Cast about for some sort of rationalization to destroy. It means you're worse off marrying the so-called Christian woman because she will absolutely try to destroy your image for her own sake.
You know why? Because if she's not happy, he's not being Christ-like enough for her.
I mean, yes, it's funny, but also it's true. I mean,
Jesus only exists to make her happy, so therefore Jesus is her boyfriend.
Jesus is her boyfriend.
Oh,
That's the name of an episode we did a while back. Go look it up, guys.
So, who is in a better position than a wife to judge whether her husband is enough like Christ and is living as Christ would want him to live?
Well, Steve, I know the answer you're looking for, but I'm going to say the actual answer. The actual answer is other men, specifically a pastor, elder, etc. Those are who actually position.
No, not the pastor elder. Not today. They're the worst ones.
I had to tee it up for you, Nick, because I just knew you
No,
couldn't
absolutely.
resist.
I mean, hell no. They're the ones saying, yeah, that's right, sweetheart. Your husband's a bad man. He's not loving you if Christ loved the church. Yeah, he's emotionally abusive and spiritually abusive. And oh, he's upset.
whoa,
That
whoa,
got put out in bed. Oh, there's
whoa,
another abuse there,
whoa.
too.
Well, what's this thing? I've not heard of it. What is spiritually abusive? What does that mean, Nick?
Means harming them spiritually. That means using the power that Christ has invested you as an officer of the church, or even as a husband supposed to lead your wife, and using that to put them down, to cause them harm spiritually.
So there's a special kind of abuse that's reserved for Christian women only?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Amy Bird was big on that in the Orthodox Presbyterian Church. She charged a lot of my friends with that. So, yeah.
So I gave
I'm sure I'm included in that too, but I really don't give a shit. So,
yeah. I gave the ought answer. In the hierarchical order, it should be the judge. It would be the pastor, the elders, etc. Now, Nick gave the is answer, and the is answer is that these dudes who are supposed to be hierarchically above you and performing God's work are mostly just simping for your wife, and then wondering why the church is failing all over the place.
And let's not forget these pastors who are leading some of these big congregations are kind of have big egos, big power trips, a lot of money, are not necessarily living privately moral lives. And a number of them have been caught having illicit encounters.
They got caught with their hands in the cookie jar, huh?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, guys, I want to highlight something. I'm trying to connect this across these articles. So we're linking Eat, Pray, Love and Fireproof with divorce fantasies. There's the not the sexual, they're all sexual versions, but there's the secular version, and then there's the pure version. Fireproof. But in the end, you know what it is? A divorce fantasy, pretending that their corn is different and that their sexual impulses are more pure than those of men.
Okay.
Firebomb. Instead of fireproof, firebomb. Okay, guys, I'll read it. October 30th, 2011. Last week, I had a discussion with two Christian women on another blog about my criticism of the movie Fireproof in my post, The Endless Courtship Fantasy. The women took issue, big surprise, with my characterizing the wife in the movie as whorish. Um, they felt that since the husband had viewed porn on the internet, this was grounds for the woman to divorce him. They didn't see the wife's pursuit of a doctor she worked with while still married as the real problem. Shocker. Because she had already decided to divorce, and it was really the husband's fault after all. They were also adamant that the wife planned on waiting until she had divorced the first man and married the second one before consummating the affair with sex, even though I
Whoa,
could find no mention of this in the movie.
hold on.
I
Okay.
should acknowledge.
Hold on. Okay. So what the women are saying here is that pursuit of a doctor while she was still married, it's okay because, so I read this whole thing. It's okay because she didn't fuck the guy while they were married.
Not we know of.
Well, okay, but
Why?
so that was the end of my first marriage. Yeah, okay, I don't have any direct evidence that she fucked the guy. She did play tonsil hockey with him at work. I do know that. Okay, but what they're really saying here is it's rules for me but not for thee. Okay, because in Corn, you never actually get to fuck the woman that you're looking at on, on screen or in the magazines, right? You never actually get that far. But because in this case, he looked at Corn, never goes that far, but it's okay in his case to ask for divorce because he did, like, I am the logic in this movie, even at the time, confused me. It was very popular in this movie was very popular in my PCA church.
Oh, it
Because
was for me too. I was still in the PCA at the time.
yeah, well, this was supposed to be the movie that was going
Or
to
see,
convince people to not get divorced and convince men not to watch porn. I don't think it succeeded at either. But this is rules for me, but not for thee. Right? She's splitting hairs here. The women are splitting hairs. Well, I didn't technically cheat because I didn't fuck him, but it's cheating when he looks at porn on a computer, which is also not physically consummating a relationship.
Right.
and
You don't you understand? He committed adultery in his heart. So therefore she gets a hall pass to commit adultery in her heart, which doesn't count because she has a hall pass.
Mm,
Nick, question on the Bible side. If someone sins against me, do I get to sin against them in the same way?
no, no,
Just
it doesn't work
checking.
that way.
Just checking, because
One
this is
sin does not excuse another.
I bring this up because this was marketed as an overtly Christian movie. So, I just
Yeah, and I had a lot of the Christian women. Oh, they just wanted all their husbands to see this crap. And you know what they were thinking? They're just trying to shame them while they weren't putting out.
yeah, pretty much.
This is all the corn shaming because they won't put out for their husbands.
And we did a whole episode on this about corn and corn use and not putting out. And I think one of the conclusions we came to was yeah, we don't condone corn, but if she's not putting out, like, we understand if guys go that route. We do. And I will not personally, like cast out a man who does that. Like, look, dude, I get it.
You're
Not
saying you're
it's
not ready to cast the first stone?
No, not in that case. And if the women don't like me for that, so be it. I'm okay with that.
And we don't really care.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, we don't care. Exactly. So,
Yeah, I had a friend who's like, "Oh, but you're gonna give women the ick with that type of post," and I'm like, "And why do you care in the first place?
yeah,
You've already lost because you cared."
pretty much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we've talked about this. If you guys, listening, you want to go watch that, it's back there. It's the title is, I think, Is Corn the Problem? Again, it isn't good, but for you women out there, look, if you're not putting out, you have no right to complain.
Yeah, I mean, really, would a man rather watch porn than get some real action? Do you think that's true? What are you smoking?
Men want the real
Well,
thing, like they
But
do.
there's a cost benefit analysis that rational men tend to do.
Yes.
How psycho is this lady? Does she have an STD?
Mm,
Am I
yeah.
going to catch flack for sleeping with her?
Well, that's on
How's this
that's
going
on
to bite me in the ass?
that's on the single side, but that happens on the married side too. I've been shot down the last 6 times I've asked.
Yes. Yes.
Claims and
You
she
tell me there's a
rapes
chance.
me and she does all this, and I might get a little bit, but you know what? It's not going to be good. It's not, yeah. And then she's going to feel entitled to more sub
Services or
submission,
stuff.
services, whatever, because I did that for you. Now you need to do this. Oh man, you know what? Let me just go rub one out and I'll have peace. Okay. Same cost benefit analysis.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I had to do this one. Is it worth getting yelled at or over this or not? Whatever the thing I was or was not doing, right? Is it worth getting yelled at, or
You've already lost, though, if you have to think of that, though,
no?
if you're
I
married.
agree, and so
But I
for a
did
lot
the
of
same
I
thing.
agree.
I did the same thing. I'm not casting stones. I did that.
yeah,
And I should not effing cared.
I agree, and I don't anymore. Learned my lessons the hard
Yep.
way. But yeah, I understand a lot of guys, particularly in the Christian space, they're like, well, but divorce is a sin and I can't divorce her. And look, more power to you. But if you're a guy in that situation, you won't get divorced from the reviling wife, then you're going to be spending a lot of time on the computer alone at night. And that's just the sad reality of the situation. And
Ironically, if you don't take that attitude and say, you know what, you laid on the law, kind of. No, this is what needs to happen. We need to address these things. And if not, I'm divorcing you. Okay, what are you doing? You're showing your power. And if you do that early on, now after things are just totally messed up, it's not going to work. But if you show your power early on and let her know that you're willing, he doesn't do that. You need power. She's got all the power through the state. You at least need to equalize that power by saying, hey, I'm willing to walk away if you don't do your duties. And no, you're not entitled to all this crap. You have to show up and be here for me. So by exercising that and having that attitude, your chances of divorce just went down, not up.
You know, Steve, it's true, but good luck convincing Christians of that.
Yeah, usually that comes as an ultimatum while everything's already. That's
Yeah.
like that's a crapshoot basically at the end.
Right.
Well,
You
yeah,
learn the lesson too late to apply it.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's why, you know, I learned it too late to apply it to my first marriage, but you bet I applied it very early on in my next relationship.
Yep.
You know, like she knew before we even got official, before we were even official. She knew what the score was. I wasn't gonna make that mistake again.
You learn the hard way sometimes.
Yes.
All three of us.
And
Shit.
and by the way, Tacticus, um, Jesus sold out of hypergamy insurance because Jesus don't sell hypergamy insurance to start with. God in the Bible is not hypergamy insurance. The Bible tells her what the consequences of her sin are. It spends quite a bit of time on that.
Yeah.
But the Bible cannot be used as a bludgeon or as an insurance program to convince her to do the right thing. She has to decide she's going to do the right thing on her own. That is core and fundamental to how all of Christianity works. Nick, am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, go to the Bible. They said, Here's what's required." And when you don't follow those things, crap doesn't go well.
Right. And this is our problem with the Christ pill guys. The Bible is not hypergamy insurance. You cannot Bible your way into a good relationship. Essentially,
No.
all these guys are doing is looking
I tried.
to yeah, well, all these guys are looking to do is export responsibility. They don't want to have to be. They don't want to have to be responsible for maintaining frame in the relationship. They want the Bible to do it for them, and that demonstrates a fundamental weakness in their character.
And if you don't Bible enough, don't pray enough, you'll get like my latest court documents where I am some misogynist, extremist, hater of women that has all these medieval views and is abusive and everything else under the sun, so that they can
What
get custody and more money.
Yeah,
medieval?
But they're a strong, independent woman that needs no man.
bullshit.
So,
She needs you pretty badly right now, doesn't she? Am I wrong?
No.
so it's an insult to say you have medieval views?
Well, apparently, I mean, they're not just medieval. It's pretty much everything until like 1950, but okay.
Well, what it is, it's a negotiating tactic with the judge. That's what it is. It's not. Nick does not have medieval views. I would describe most of what Nick actually says and does as 80s. He's 80s guy.
Okay, whatever. I don't care.
Well,
Just
right,
the
but
truth.
the point being is that Nick is not some sort of medieval. I can't say that. Okay, I was going to say that, but I can't say that on YouTube. Let's see. Nick is. Nick. Did you ever can I say that? I'm trying to ask a question here, guys. It involves thumbs and rods. Did you and canes maybe?
No,
Oh,
Did you,
see,
no, but I was the
you
recipient of
never
that.
used the rule of thumb?
Oh, like the movie that's in our introduction. They talk about that a bit.
indeed.
So this idea that medieval was backwards and
I'll
wrong.
be right back.
Hey, we said at the beginning, the truth is timeless. okay, the medieval era, they weren't very scientific. They had some wrong beliefs about certain things. Did they have wrong beliefs about marriage and family? I can't say that they did. They probably, most of them were pretty, marriage didn't end in divorce. People stayed together. They had families, blah, blah, blah. That existed for hundreds of years to greater or lesser degrees. So, a medieval view, in a lot of ways, they were probably right and more moral than we are today.
Oh, you mean they actually had families that stayed together? Mm. I mean, they passed their heritage on. Ooh.
Steve, sadly true.
Yeah, I got that Metallica song stuck in my head. Sad but true.
Yeah. The truth, guys, is a pretty difficult thing sometimes.
Yeah. And what happens when the truth is presented? The women go batshit crazy.
Yeah.
You see this. He's like angry mob, blah, blah, blah. The women challenged me to watch the movie, blah, blah, blah. He's explaining that, how he did all this. Oh, he found the whole facts, all the facts and shit. And then he explains the movie, blah, blah, blah. But what's the truth of the matter?
Oh, yeah.
Like in Eat, Pray, Love. What's the factor here?
Wife of a fire captain ain't happy.
No, we used to say that happy.
Happy. I don't say it right.
Yeah, but this has got Christianity baptized on it, right? So it's got to be good, right? Because it's under the Christian label.
Did we sprinkle some holy water over the original Prince? Is that?
Oh, Dalrock was ahead of his time. Oh,
By decades.
So he's walking on eggshells for fear of setting her off. She's not happy. He has no frame. He's living in fear of her emotions. Okay.
Oh, okay, but it keeps going.
Honeydew list.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh look, chore play.
Not just chore play. Look, now she has a high status job as the head of PR at a local hospital. Now she's important, and she can live. She's self-sufficient. She doesn't need him anymore. Guys, does this sound like anything?
Branching's in the works.
Girl boss.
But he's a fire captain, right? He's got status, right?
He not only does he have status, this is a fire captain is going to be, these dudes are going to be ripped. They're going to be,
Yep.
Okay. Fire captains make pretty good money. So he's got status. He's got money. He literally rescues babies from burning buildings. It's how much more, masculine can you get than this guy? So he's got money. He's got status. He's got, he's muscles, right? He's got all those things. And she's still not happy. What now? He doesn't, there's one thing he very clearly doesn't have, and that's frame. Okay. And guys, this is why we say here, frame over all. Okay.
That's clear. And let me read that next sentence. He's very clear that his primary complaint is that he's respected everywhere, but in his own house. Why?
That sounds familiar.
Because he doesn't have frame in his house. He's not maintaining his dominance, his attitude of dominance and control and management. He's not managing his wife. He thinks she's self-managed. No. And then the part you highlighted there, next thing, she's denying him sex because he isn't doing what she wants. So she wants control.
Correct. Yes.
She's
Stated in the
trying to
movie.
control him. And gee, have we heard that before? What about Genesis? The curse in Genesis. Her desire shall be for her husband, meaning her desire shall be to be the husband in control,
Yep.
but
And
he shall rule over her. So
Yeah.
Caleb was not ruling over his wife. She was trying to rule over him. Okay, everything was upside down.
And what now? I don't know if they show this in the movie or not because I haven't watched it since it came out. But what do you want to bet in the background? There's a pastor telling him that he can't do that. He can't treat her like that. He has to pray with her more and support her and give her what she wants. I mean, literally, she's denying sex because
dad. His dad was in the picture. If I'm not mistaken.
That sounds right. But look, it's right here. She's denying sex because he isn't doing what she wants. Somebody had to tell her that was an okay thing to do. Maybe not explicitly, like if he doesn't do what you want, you can, but how it's done is they'll go to like therapy and they'll say, yes, we understand he's not doing what you want. And then when you validate that, you're basically telling a person at a psychological level that it's okay to do whatever they think is necessary to correct that incorrect behavior. The reality is, I am under no obligation to do what my wife wants to do. Biblically, I am under no obligation. Doesn't mean I don't listen to her, but I am under no obligation to do what she wants me to do.
Was it Sex in the City where there was a thing about the ladies talking about, or the women talking about certain acts and have you done this with him? And the one said to the other, no, I'm saving that until after I get my diamond tennis bracelet.
I don't know if that was Sex in the City, but I remember a scene that was basically that verbatim in Scrubs.
Okay, then maybe that was it.
Yeah,
I think
that was Scrubs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course she does it, and then of course it shows her getting the diamond tennis bracelet. That is how women operate, and we tell women that that's okay. Yeah, Chief. Therapy, it's absolutely a grift, but women will use it for control. And I think that's what's happening in this sort of archetypal relationship that this movie shows is the therapist finds out that the guy's doing corn, and then everything becomes okay. She can deny sex because of corn, but realistically,
I think the causal relationship was this, and then led to this.
Right? Yeah, in the movie, it was that way, and for most men, that is the causal relationship, not the other way around. Okay, so and yeah, exactly, Chief. Reinforcements for her. So in this movie, they have set up a fundamentally unchristian dynamic, and then as the movie goes on, he has some big epiphany, and it's basically about how he needs to serve her more, and then that's going to solve all of the
he needs to tread on it and wipe up that whore again.
Yeah.
Am I not right?
Like, guys, the Christ pill is not new, and that's an interesting thing that I would say. I mean, we're talking about a Dalrock article. I mean, the first one was 2010. The movie was 2008, and basically the movie is just the Christ pill. And so you get all, and it goes back to something I said at the beginning of the show. The truth is self-evident, but when you see people constantly recycling and regurgitating things, I can be fairly sure that it's not the truth. Okay. That is the tactics of propaganda. So the Christ pill is just Fireproof done, doing math in my head, done 17 years later. Okay. It's the same thing. They haven't changed it. They haven't fixed it. They put a new coat of paint and they use different words. That's it.
No. Christ's pill is eat, pray, love with a baptism.
Oof. Yes. Yes. Oh, that hits where it hurts, but yes. And
I'm
it's one of
making the same links Dalrock is making.
well, I find it interesting that as you get older, you start to see these things, and I'm sure Steve is going to be over there nodding his head. You see these things come through every 20 years or so, and by the time you get to your 60s, you've seen it 3 times, and you're going, "Here we go again." And for Nick and I, we're both pushing 40 with a shorter stick here, so we're starting to see it come through the second time. And it's like with my first marriage, I bought into all this stuff. Okay. And that's,
Me too.
and yeah, exactly. And both of us have relationships that blew up. So because it is all a lie, and Dalrock uses the word fantasy. Fantasy is a form of what now? Lie. Okay. These things are not true. The truth is self-evident. The truth does not need to be repeated over and over again. Okay? You state the truth and everyone goes, "Oh, yeah, that's the truth." And then it's kind of like, that's it. You're done. But when you keep seeing these ideas recycled back over and over and over again, that is because somebody is trying to convince you to believe a lie. It's propaganda. You've heard us talk about that. I know I'm ranting here a bit, but to me, this is one of the core pieces of our mission here, is to make this distinction via any means necessary. Okay. So, Nick, I will let you keep going now, but this is our mission, my mission statement here,
Right. I'll just read the quote from the movie. So this is his trashy wife, Catherine. If looking at that trash is how you get fulfilled, then that is fine, but I will not compete with it. Well, I sure don't get it from you. And you won't, because you care more about saving for your stupid boat and pleasing yourself than you ever did about me. That when she taunts him with her manipulation of him through withheld sex, he flies into a rage and calls her a disgraceful, ungrateful, and selfish woman. True. Catherine, I'm not selfish. How dare you say that? If you don't give me the respect I deserve, then what is the point of this marriage? Catherine burst into tears. I want out. I just want out. He should have let her just get the fuck out.
Yes, but Steve, what's that word in that he says there? What is that word?
Disrespectful. Right?
He has no peace, he has no respect, and he has no sexual variety.
There it is. There it is, guys. Hey, Steve, have you seen a few things in your life here on Earth?
Oh, I've lived them. Didn't understand what I was living through at the time. But yeah, okay, maybe I'm old enough to boil it down to those 3 simple things.
RSVP. It's that simple.
Now, I would be very pleased if our audience took that phrase and spread it wide and used it. I don't care if I get credit. I really don't care. This is so simple. It needs to get out there, and it explains so much. So, plagiarize me all you want. I don't care.
Please take any and all of our stuff. Please do.
Oh, look, he actually had some frame here at the end, though. And what? She's already monkey branching.
By the way, that most men get frame right at the end of their relationship. That's when I did, because there comes a point when the guy rationally figures out that it's over and that it doesn't matter what he says anymore, and so you can say whatever you want, and you just kind of do because you're so angry.
Then you got to reevaluate everything. You're just like, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So he had frame and then he threw it away in the end of the movie. But what is she doing?
Well, she immediately abandons the relationships and starts flirting with some hot doctor at the hospital.
Who have already noted seems interested in her.
What monkey branching?
Beta orbiters, maybe.
Beta
And she's in
orbiters,
the
but
medical field.
well, but he had to have all of the alpha traits, right? You know, doctor, saving lives. It's actually interesting that they chose doctor and firefighter because both men save lives, both have high status, high stress jobs. And so it's kind of telling on the woman a little bit here of what she's really after. And I don't even think they realize they did that.
Okay, this next bit there. She has other plans for the money. I mean, this is so fucking contrived that her mother had a stroke and she wants to provide medical stuff for her mother, and he's depriving her mother. My God, can you come up with a more lame, contrived contrast here?
But the Christian thing to do, well, this comes from honor thy parents, I think, in the Christian mentality, right? Is her motives for the money are pure, his are selfish because he wants a boat. I think that's what they're trying to
What
go
happens
for.
is, right, so what his money is her money and her money is her money.
Right.
Hey,
but Nick, it goes back to that purity of of women in the church, right? Her motive is pure. And so her demand to use the money in her way is pure and his is selfish.
Man bad. How dare you want to go fishing? All your interest should be is serving her and her only. But she can do what she wants, right?
But historically, it's not the daughter's duty to provide for her aging parents. It's a son's job. She doesn't have that duty because historically women didn't receive the inheritance. You know, the eldest son received a double share, and the younger sons received one share. Daughters may have received something, but maybe not because they moved on to a new family with a dowry. So she got hers. So
the women get theirs up front.
The responsibility falls to the oldest son. That's why everybody had big families and they wanted a son. Because sons could be depended upon have that duty. Once the daughter leaves the family and it belongs to another man, what obligation does he have to your family? It's more of a reciprocal thing, not a duty-bound thing.
So there's a couple of good comments. Chief, Yeah, that's part of what this is. Although they were trying to, I think the boat might have been more of a MacGuffin as just a foil for her, to see how bad
Guys
you are.
like to fish, man.
I think
How dare he have a hobby outside of her control
right.
at
Well,
the time?
and what is
Yeah.
fishing? What is fishing? Peaceful, quiet,
Yep.
peaceful. Shoe. The Holy Spirit speaks through the wife's purse. Oh, where have we heard that message before? All of modern Christianity. Yeah, that is what this whole setup is showing.
But what's the actual fact about this wheelchair? Her mother has already moved back home and is sitting up fine in a normal chair when we see her.
Well,
Why did you?
the line before where Dalrock is talking, interestingly, the movie authors clearly expect us to see this as a need, but we never hear this from a medical professional. And
Huh?
this goes back to women do not make a distinction between want and need, right?
Hmm.
The medical professionals never said it was a need. Okay. The woman decided that she wanted this for her mom and it might have made her mom's life better, easier, more comfortable, less painful. Those might all be true. And I'm not saying those are bad things, but the wife took that and made it into a need.
No. What does Dalrock say? The flimsy nature of this is important because it sets the tone for the movie. Even if the wife's demands are suspect, the right choice for the husband is to give her whatever she demands.
Oh, look,
Yes,
servant leader.
Happy wife, happy life. Yes,
Yeah.
dear. Servant leader. All responsibility with zero authority equals slavery.
Authority
Yeah.
or responsibility without authority is what now, Nick?
Slavery, according to Rollo Tomasi, the rational male. Yeah. So look, who's in control here?
The wife is in control, and I see this as an unchristian. It's something, but it isn't Christianity.
Right. Money is fundamental to the plot. The movie makes repeated reference to the husband's need to spend money on his wife. Him spending the money on her is so important. It is one of the first parts of the love dare. Caleb makes the mistake of sending her flowers, which aren't expensive enough. And the movie grinds in the point that this makes him a bad husband.
Okay. How often have we seen this on TikTok these days? He doesn't spend enough money on me. I'm not even going to give him the time of day. This idea has been around for decades, guys. Yeah, the women are taking it to ever greater extremes. Honestly, I'm kind of grateful that they are, because it's getting easier and easier for men to just look at them and go, "You're nuts, I'm out." But that's where this is going. And this has been around for a long time. This Christ pill idea of just serve her harder was never going to work. Never.
Pimp harder. Serve her more. Spend more money on her. Do what she wants. Buy her things instead of establishing your own frame and being willing to walk away.
Chief. I don't know exactly how fast it is,
Yeah.
but it's aren't they technically dead after the moment you cut them? Like, isn't that kind of how it works? I imagine it's a few days. Flowers are very fleeting things. I bought Elena flowers a couple of times, but I mostly don't anymore. It's
See, it's not how beautiful the flowers are that counts. It's how much you spent on them.
right.
Huh? Look, notice how this actually backfires on him, and he just tries harder. This actually doesn't really work in real life, guys. This is bullshit. This is a
Oh yeah,
fantasy
it
movie.
doesn't work. Nope,
No.
it doesn't work.
Okay. So I want to get that out
Nope.
of the way. When the
Doesn't work.
flowers arrive, they're actually fairly nice, but nothing extravagant. His unhappy wife rolls her eyes and walks away. Later, a more expensive bouquet of red roses arrives with a note which says, "I love you more." She appears to think this is from the doctor at the hospital she is trying to start an affair with, and instead of rolling her eyes, lights up. Her very next move is to put an envelope marked Caleb on the table, which turns out to have divorce papers in it.
I am so glad I filed first. Well, but and it gets worse. It
Yeah.
gets. I mean, if you keep reading, it gets worse.
Here you go. Who wants to read it? I need to stop reading it.
Okay, I'll read it. Although you'll have to scroll.
That's fine.
But none of this deters our husbandly hero in his pursuit of ever greater feats of betadized groveling. I'm going to use that in the future. After she gives him the divorce papers, the love dare tells him he needs to give her an all-out romantic dinner. He learns his lessons from the flowers incident, and it is made clear that he spared no effort or expense. Catherine comes home and sees the dinner he prepared for her, candles and all. She treats him with her standard contempt and asks what this is all about. He answers pleadingly, "Maybe I want to have dinner with my wife." She goes into her bedroom for a minute to get what she came for, and before she walks out the door, tells him, "Let me be real clear with you about something. I do not love you." Gentlemen,
The
if you
nicest
hear
thing she ever said.
yeah, exactly. If you hear those words out of a woman's mouth, run. Don't walk, run. If she hasn't already dropped papers on you, go get them done.
Let me be clear. Someplace in a woman's mind, there's a switch. When it gets switched from on to off, it's fucking off. It's off. It will not be switched back on. There is nothing that you can do to cause her to switch that switch back on. I don't even know if it's possible.
Right, but the
Man,
church will tell you
I've
just need to
looked
love her more.
around. So, no, it's not possible.
No, Steve, you
Now,
didn't love her enough. You didn't serve
yeah,
her enough.
okay.
You didn't follow the love dare enough.
It can't. I've heard of divorced people getting remarried. Remarried. I'll guarantee you, there was nothing he did to switch that switch back to the on position. It was something God did. It was circumstances. It was too hard. It was nothing he did. Nothing. So if okay, lack of respect leads to contempt. If she has contempt,
You're
is pretty much flipped that switch to off. She has no attraction for you. It's only a matter of time in our modern world till she files. You're not getting any sex. Once she shows contempt for you, it's over. There is nothing you can do. There is nothing you can do to fix it at this point.
Was the hero of
Was
the
that
church,
clear
Steve?
enough? What?
No, Caleb didn't hear it.
But our hero is. Go ahead, Steve.
That's why this is a fictional story.
I was going to say
Oh,
the
yeah.
fantasy is getting pretty thick here, guys. But our hero is still undeterred. He knows from his wise father, who sent him the love dare, that he needs to love his wife unconditionally. Yep, gotta put that servant leadership in there. Even when she is starting an affair with another man and tells him she doesn't love him and gives him divorce papers, it is his job to try harder to please her. Oh my! We have crossed the line from fantasy into raw feminist delusion here. Okay, guys, this ain't even a fantasy anymore. Around day 20, Caleb is trapped in a burning house trying to rescue a young girl. See, as I was talking about the whole rescue kids, thing. There it is. He uses his axe to chop through a door, doing nice strong. This is, I believe, in the movie, this is the first time they actually show him doing strong masculine things, right? And so, he uses his axe to chop through the door of the house and pulls the unconscious girl into the crawl space. Here, he very nearly ends up trapped again. Every fireman is cringing at this point in the movie right now because you never do that. The scene ends with other firefighters dragging Caleb and the girl out of the crawl space, and both appear to be unconscious. This puts Caleb in the very hospital that Catherine works at, being treated by the doctor she is starting an affair with. Oh, yay. Catherine briefly stalks by to check in on him, but is extremely cold and walks away. Oh, hey.
What a bitch. What a fucking, excuse me.
That's the contempt that Steve is talking about.
Yeah,
right?
Oh my gosh.
That's what that looks like. This movie actually gives you a picture of what it looks like when the woman is done with you.
See, at that point, he's weak.
Yes.
And so women are not attracted to weak. If you show weakness, no. She doesn't have any compassion for you. She doesn't think about the past at all. Nothing you did. And okay, Elena is in the chat. I'm going to ask a question to Elena. Does unconditional love cause tingles in a woman? Unconditional love.
It'll take a minute or two for her answer to show up, just because YouTube is slow.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep reading. I'm going to keep reading. Catherine briefly stops by to check in on him, but is extremely cold and walks away after the nurse tells her she is welcome to stay with her hero husband. Her specific words to him are, "You look terrible. You gonna be okay." This scene contrasts with the later scene where Catherine is in bed with a fever. Caleb runs out and buys her food from a Chick-fil-A to nurse her back. Okay, there you go. There's your answers. There's your answer, Steve. she wants to vomit. Yeah, and that's about how she reacts to it when she sees it online, guys. I have to listen to it every day. It turns out that men who were nearly killed with first-degree burns don't deserve the same level of caring a woman who has a fever does. Exactly. Later in the movie, Caleb finds a greeting card, love letter from the doctor who treated him, which Catherine is keeping in the dresser. Oh, this is classy. He finds this while doing the housework he has taken over.
Hey, guys, ready? I'm going to share this one.
Y me acuestas tú, ya para abrir el restaurante que era el arroz. Y me llama el cocinero. Risita, ¿qué? Ve por la paellera. Venga, que las 2 de la tarde ya están aquí. Miren, bañador, en las chanclas, todo despeinado porque no me dio tiempo nada ponerme las chanclas y el bañador. Voy a la playa, había subido la marea. Jesús, había subido la marea y encontré una paella. Y la encontré porque te estaba.
So in Nick's Discord, I have an icon of that guy laughing, and I use it all the time.
Oh man.
This sets up the ultimate frivolous divorcee fantasy where two alphas, in status at least, I like how Dalrock called that out, by the way, guys, compete directly for her heart, which is actually this. When you think about all the other male or all the other female porn fantasy, it's always two alphas competing for her heart. You guys remember the Twilight craze?
Oh gosh.
Same exact thing. 50
I have
Shades
a
of Grey,
daughter starting
same
to read
thing.
that crap. I have a daughter starting to read that crap. I'm like, oh, good
Oh
night.
boy, I feel for you, dude.
Good night. Good
Um,
night.
Caleb tells the doctor that he will compete for her heart. Oh, this is like out of some sort of chivalrous knight bullshit. As Caleb leaves the doctor, as Caleb leaves, Dalrock, the doctor opens a drawer with his own wedding ring in it, but we aren't told whether he is divorced or currently married. The concept of two high status men fighting over the would-be divorcee's heart is at the core of the movie. Even the plot device, the love dare, is all about convincing her to love him. It isn't about him convincing her to honor her wedding vows, which would be the Christian.
Never happens.
Yeah, it never happens. This is standard issue divorce porn and tells women that divorce gives them power. We were talking about the feminism, power and control thing right at the beginning to get what they want. No woman who watched the movie would fail to get this overriding message. If you aren't happy, threaten divorce and let high status men compete for your heart. Shit, guys, how many times have we seen that today? We get it played out for us on whatever, Fresh and Fit, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
The core
All
reason.
the time.
And women have this fantasy, this actual belief that if they divorce, there will be a better man out there.
Yes.
Did that actually happen?
How many times have we seen this on these podcasts where these women are the better guys always right around the corner, and it's the female delusion calculator that Myron loves. What are the you have them put in what they want, and the odds come up like 0.001% of all men. And what do the women say? I have a chance.
He's
I
out
will
there.
get him.
He exists.
You're telling me I have a chance. Where did that quote come from, by the way, guys?
Dumb and Dumber.
So
Yeah.
in reality, she divorces. She's fresh meat, looking for a good ride. And so she finds these guys probably are, the top 10%, maybe if she looks good. And, she's good for a night or a weekend or a couple weeks or a booty call or this or that. But that Chad is not signing up for her. She will get no man to really commit to her. There's 90% of the time, she has no ability to find a better man than the one she divorced.
You're being very generous there, Steve.
Oh, you think it's like 99% of the time?
Add a couple more nines and we might be getting close.
Okay. I was being a bit conservative, but it's bloody unlikely.
All right. You want me to keep going, or are we?
This is where the eat, pray, love for Christians.
Okay.
Christian women.
The core reason the Christian woman thought the wife's actions were morally justified is the husband's ostensible addiction to pornography. Interestingly, the first time we hear the word addiction in this context is from the instructions from his father. His wife never uses the term, and we aren't shown him being obsessed with it. At one point, he is on the web looking at something else, and he gets a pop-up for porn. With his new faith in God and his desire to prove himself to his wife, he resists the urge to click the pop-up. From here, he smashes the PC with a sledgehammer and says, "No more addictions." Um,
What this is what we call a drunk captain, right?
yeah,
In the red pill.
yes. But that's not an addiction, guys. Addictions are compulsive. And he would have been either was not addicted, or he was long ago, and the movie goes out of its way to say that he's not, or something like that. But then claims that he is. Okay, question in the chat from Chief. Who you were asking if a woman write this? No, it was written by two men, Alex and Stephen Kendrick. Steve, it's a different spelling than your name, so you don't have to wear that shame.
Stefan.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh.
The conflict is finally resolved when Catherine is talking to the woman who runs the medical supply store. She wants to pick out some more odds and ends for her mother. She mentions the doctor, and when she does, she lights up and starts playing with her hair the same way she has been doing while flirting with him. The whole hospital knows she is after him. And yes, the whole women know. The woman corrects her, explaining that the doctor only gave $300 and her husband gave $24,000. Suddenly, Catherine realizes she misunderstood who was the winner of the bidding war for her heart. She races home and puts her ring on and tarts herself up before going to see Caleb at the fire station. At this point, I was expecting her to apologize not only for being a ball-busting harpy, but more than a little whorish as well. But all she says is, if I haven't told you that you're a good man, you are. If I haven't told you that I've forgiven you, I have. If I haven't told you that I love you, I do. Oh. With those magic words, all of her awful behavior is forgotten. Shortly thereafter, she is treated to a second wedding ceremony. But this time, they stress she actually means it for life.
Oh, wait. No. You got to go to the bottom there.
Okay, I think he wants me to read the footnote here. The Christian blogger Sheila Gregoire later made the same argument on another post on this blog, and I responded with a post. And then he...
Yeah.
Oh, God.
There's
women.
Okay, so, yeah. Okay, Sheila Gregoire, Canadian evangelical blogger, blogging about the same time. There was a lot of back and forth. I read some of her stuff. It was all Christian feminism. And yeah, there was Dalrock kind of liked to make fun of her. So that's your history lesson for the day. But you know what? Amazing thing here. We found out that it is possible to buy a woman's love.
$24,000, folks.
I wasn't the only one thinking that.
Nick.
Oh no.
You bought your ex a car, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
You're still making payments on it, right?
Yeah.
She still loves you, right?
Hell no.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh,
that's Steve.
Never mind.
So, Steve, are you saying that money doesn't actually work? Steve, come on now.
Yeah.
No, you're not allowed to say that. All you need is money, muscles, and games, Steve. Come on. That's all you need.
Uh-huh.
So we call it hypergamy insurance now. But again, guys, you look back in history and you'll see whatever they were calling it back then, it didn't work back then. This goes back to this idea that if something has to be recycled and, they put new words and new paint on it, but it's the same idea. It's propaganda. It is false.
So
I'll say
this
this.
was
This
this was
phrase
true-
right here is not how women work. This
Yeah.
is how men fantasize how women work, and this
Yes.
gives the women cover for their bullcrap right here.
Yes.
you know what? You do spend some money on her, and then next week, what's she gonna think? Yeah, you did that last week, but do you love me today? In other words, are you going
I
to
loved
spend
you
some money
forever
on me
today.
today? That's in the past. Okay, that's done. It's over with. There's no, there's no credit given for past actions. You know what? This sounds brutal, but it's actually true. Everything that you did for her in the past is kind of discounted to zero, especially if it's 5-10 years ago. That counts for absolutely nothing.
What have you done for me lately? How about this? I put a roof over your head. I put food in the refrigerator. You've got a car to drive. You don't lack for, any of the necessities of life. That's what I have done for you today. Now, suck my dick.
So, you know what, guys? Yeah, you should do those things. It's your duty to provide, not for her wants, but for her needs and for her, ongoing existence, and do nice things for her. Yeah, that's your duty. But you don't get any brownie points. That stuff is not going to get you sex. If it does, it's like, oh, I'm saving that special thing for when he gets me that diamond tennis bracelet. Don't be that guy. What you need on a daily basis is frame. What will keep your relationship going and actually keep the sex happening is that simple word no. Telling her no and not letting her be in control will actually get you more sex than and more peace and more respect, sexual variety. You'll get all of that if you start out saying no and controlling the relationship with your frame and not letting her control it. Because as she controls it more, she develops less respect for you, more contempt for you. Therefore, in her hindbrain, she thinks, well, he can't protect me. Therefore, she's less secure. When she's feeling less secure, she counters that by seeking more control. The more control she gets, the less respect for you, the more insecure she feels, and the more control she will seek. Yeah, it's a nasty spiral for escalation.
So Chief left this, but those are baseline and in the past. So what? That's the only answer there is, guys. The wife's opinion or the girlfriend's opinion of the value of those things is irrelevant. You worked for them, you hurt for them, you earned them, you value them. Her opinion of the value is not up for consideration or debate.
All right, guys, we got the last article here. How Fireproof lowers the boom. So this refers to a previous post called Lowering the Boom. This gives better information. Several commentators to my post Lowering the Boom asked if I could elaborate on my statement that Joel and Kathy, referred to in that article there, were describing what was actually the plot of the movie Fireproof. Since the plot is discussed in detail below, you won't want to read further if you haven't seen the movie and don't want the plot spoiled. Well, we don't care. One thing that is crucial to understand about Fireproof is that while it's widely considered the preeminent Christian movie on marriage, problem there. It is not a movie about Christian marriage. The subtlety is something the movie's defenders will fairly quickly point out. If you ask how the movie managed to ignore or get backwards nearly all the key New Testament instruction on marriage. This, they will explain, is why Caleb was taught in the movie that his viewing pornography is a form of sexual sin, but Catherine isn't taught that her denial of sex is in fact creating temptation for Caleb to commit sexual sin. 1 Corinthians 7, verses 2 through 5. They will further explain that when the movie shows Caleb submitting to his wife, it is not offering this as a Christian husband's role in marriage, but as a way for a man inspired by Christ's sacrifice to win the love of his wife. Bullcrap. Likewise, Catherine isn't rebuked and never repents for lining up the doctor for either an affair or as a husband, number 2, adultery, either way you read it, or for her decision to frivolously divorce because she isn't a Christian when she does all this and her conversion occurs off screen. If this were a movie on Christian marriage, they will tell you it would, of course, have to cover the core New Testament instruction on marriage, but it isn't, so it doesn't. If you think I'm making too fine of a point of this, note how careful they are whenever describing the movie. For example, the outreach page for churches. Use this movie to help strengthen marriage and couples in your church and community. Fireproof is an unprecedented opportunity to communicate God's design for relationships. They don't say it communicates God's design for marriage because, again, this would have required addressing God's design for marriage. Fireproof is a movie about Christian conversion where the catalyst for God to change Caleb's heart is Catherine initiating divorce. Again, that's divorce fantasy. Catherine, so divorce is the beginning of something wonderful. That's the hidden thought. Catherine is, of course, ultimately rewarded for helping God make Caleb into a better man. She receives a better husband, a new wedding ceremony, a happy marriage, and is inspired to accept Christ herself. But none of these wonderful things could occur before she helped God by putting Caleb in a state of crisis when she decided to divorce him. This is the core message of Lowering the Boom. Wives divorcing their husbands are doing God's work by creating enough pain for him so that God can then work to make him a better man. As Joel and Kathy explained, crushing a husband with the machinery of no-fault divorce won't always work because of free will, but it creates the essential opening God requires for transformation to be possible. Will every man turn his heart back toward his family? Of course not. If God could control every man, he would, but he can't. This wife's actions have simply given God an open door to deal with her husband. This uncanny similarity between Joel and Kathy's Lowering Their Boom philosophy and the plot of the most celebrated Christian movie on marriage doesn't necessarily suggest the Kendrick brothers are fans of Joel and Kathy. However, the theme of wife-initiated divorce leading to winning the cosmic jackpot is a very common one. In this sense, Fireproof can best be seen as the Christian entry into Hollywood's divorce fantasy genre. Consider the blockbuster movie Eat, Pray, Love. See, he makes that connection here too. As with Fireproof, it starts with an unhappy wife who triggers an incredible process of empowerment and spiritual rebirth by divorcing her husband, where Elizabeth gains spiritual wisdom from a Hindu ashram. That's the ultimate result of her frivolous divorce. Catherine comes to accept Christ as a result of hers. Likewise, while divorce is Elizabeth's exit out of an unhappy marriage and her path to finding the love of her life, the exact same thing is true for Catherine, with the twist that her new perfect husband is a result of God fixing the one she already had, and all he needed was a little help from her. In between, of course, both divorcees are delighted by being courted all over again. So this is Dalrock's guide to lowering the broom and Fireproof. Wife has a disobedient husband who doesn't follow her headship? Check. Wife complains but her husband doesn't submit to her? Check. Wife threatens divorce? Check. Threat of divorce is necessary to enable God to transform the husband? Check. Wife follows through on the threat of divorce, delivers signed papers? Check. Makes her wife makes her husband grovel and her husband completely surrenders her? Check. Wife knows God has transformed her husband only once she falls back in love with him? Check.
This is abomination. Like I said at the opening, there is nothing Christian about this. Nothing.
None. Nothing. Nothing at all.
celebrated
This is
as
an
one of the great
abomination.
Christian, celebrated as one of the great Christian movies of the era. You know, the thing is, guys, and I mean, you in the chat, you guys know exactly what all this means, but this is it. It's interesting because this is actually looking back where you see the acceleration of divorce in the church, where you see it's not just this movie. There was a lot of this kind of stuff going on in the church at that time. But when you look back and you see the accelerated destruction of the church, it's these ideas were the feminist propaganda finally gained a foothold when they figured out how to message to women in the church. And this is a perfect example of it.
Let me say it this way. This was already happening. This movie documents the sentiments and what was happening. It didn't create this. Okay, it might have promoted the idea, but the seeds were already there and were growing.
Yes.
So this is a documentation of what was already happening. And yeah, like Plutarch says, it has grown. And it is full blown out there for anyone with eyes to see. Now, most people still don't see it. They, you could still show this movie in a lot of Christian churches, and they would applaud it as being so wonderful. It's like one of those Hallmark movies. Oh, this is so wonderful. I'm weeping. Contrived, delusional.
So
try watching some Hallmark movies at Christmas. Oh, man.
Well, Steve, I had a thought, and this movie is 17 years old. 17. Okay. How many men who were growing up in the church at this time, they're 18, 19, 20, 21, they're in college, they're looking with what they want to do to their life. Oh, hi, Nick.
Yep.
How many pastors today who have been in the ministry for over a decade now grew up with this being presented to them as the pinnacle of Christian discourse on marriage? That this is that what you saw here is the Christian marriage. It's 17 years is almost an entire generation.
Yeah, and it touches on the themes divorce, marital strife, competition for women. Women can do no wrong. Jesus or God at work. And here's the thing. If it's Christianized, if the message is Christianized and the churches promote it, Christians lower their barriers,
their defenses,
and say, oh, well, if it's coming from the church, it must be true because I'm looking for a way to navigate through life by being right, and the church is here to guide me. So therefore, this must work. No. You got to keep your defenses up because some of the most damaging bullshit of your beliefs is now coming through the church. It's not truly Christian. Christianity, the true Christianity, is not corrosive, is not damaging, but this crap is devised. It is disguised as Christian, and it's not.
And to our audience,
who appears as an angel of light?
The devil does, right? Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, and guys, to our audience, this is why we spend so much time talking about things like propaganda and frame. All the money, muscles, and game in the world will not protect you from being one-shotted by bullshit like this. Okay? The frame might save you if you have it. And it doesn't always. Like guys, even guys who have strong frames still get messed up by this. Propaganda and the psychological tools have been well understood now for long enough that anybody can learn how to do this. But
And
at least with frame, you have a shot.
To our audience, if you can see through it, great. You can protect yourself. But I'm telling you this, no one else will see through it.
Yes, that's
if
true.
you see the bullshit in here and say, no, this is wrong, and you're in that church, every other woman and couple and man will say, oh, that was so wonderful. They will not see it. You will not be able to explain to them why this is a load of crap.
Hey,
You cannot count on the consensus of opinion to steer you right. No,
Steve,
it doesn't work that
but
way.
you know,
Go
but you
ahead,
know what you
Nick.
can do? I will take all the flack for it. I don't care. Send this to your elders. Send our videos, and perhaps this one too, to your elders, your pastors, your friends that are in church. Send it to them. At least they'll have the information. They can get mad at me and us all you want. Go complain to my elders and all that crap. I don't care.
Okay,
I'm
I
used to
got
being
to
thrown
bring
under the
this up.
bus. Just send it.
So, Promise Keepers, that was another aspect of
gosh.
my childhood. Drinking radiator fluid. Yeah, pretty much. I learned, Steve, I learned a long time ago that screaming at people that they were wrong and trying to, walk them through the logic of it, all it does is convince them that they're more right. All they do is lock down. There's even a psychological term for it. I'm sure Elena will pop in the chat
Doubling
with it.
down
Yeah. But
like a woman.
it's part of the reason that I actually like this medium better, because this medium allows us to reach like-minded men. And to those of you watching after the fact, look at the chat. You will see men who have seen the truth. Okay? You can't win everybody. You're not even going to win most people. But if you can do as Nick says, and you can send them this video or send them, other of videos, they don't even have to be ours. If you can send your elders videos documenting this stuff.
Now, I have to
Maybe.
bring up a comment.
Okay.
Oops. Oop, I can't do it from there. I got two dual screens here. I'll find it here.
Boomer moment.
Chief is. Okay, here it is. Oh, what? It just jumped on me. You keep talking. I'll bring it up later.
Well, we're waiting on you, Steve. Well, was trying to say is that when you get in somebody's face and you try and drag them through the logic, then what you're doing is you're trying to exercise power. What we hope to do with this channel is not to exercise power, but to exercise influence. And that means that our message will not reach the people who you would have to exercise power over. But if our message can reach people who can listen, who can understand, then maybe we can influence them. Maybe if, Christian pastors start looking into the theology of movies like Fireproof and going, that ain't what we signed up for. That's useful.
So this is a comment half an hour ago from Chief of Sinners. Learning about contempt from you guys was hard black pill to swallow, but I believe it now. You won't hear it about it from the elders in the church, who'd rather husbands abdicate than hold wife accountable. So, okay, this is the reason we're here.
Yes.
Except I would say it's not black pill,
We're-
but red pill. Truth.
Well, no,
It's-
he's black pilled, about this contempt. When it's there, okay, that's it.
Yeah. I understand what he's trying to say.
He didn't say he's a black pilled guy. It's just like, man, that's just an absolute. And there's no point in continuing after there's contempt. Yeah, I would agree with that. You can't let it get to that point. That's what we're trying to educate people. But these things that we're talking about are not actually black pill. It's you have the power to reduce your possibilities of getting to that point. You have to,
Yes.
as a man, you have to exercise that power. Here is the way to do it. Here's a way to see the world. Now, we're not going to convince the masses of this. It's a 1 or 2 man thing. If we help 1 or 2 men, is it useful to have our channel? Yes, absolutely.
I would go so far as to say is that if we have helped a man, then we have succeeded in our mission and our goal. I would like to help more than one, but one is enough. So, Tacticus, I'm going to pull this one up here. Trying to share this truth with others is like Abraham. Couldn't find any like-minded people in Sodom. Yeah,
Oh boy.
it's true though. But so what? So you stop trying. You stop trying to beat the truth into people, because that's not really your job. That's the job of circumstance and pain and God. That's between that man and God. Okay. It's not my job to try and beat people with it. But if we can put out information that helps men who are open to listening and can improve their lives and keep them from staring down that long black tunnel, if you all know what I mean, then we have that is more than we could ever hope to achieve. It's just like that's what we're here for.
There's this idea. I grew up in the evangelical church. My parents had this. Oh, we need to save souls. We need to give money to this and that because they're saving souls. You know what? I never thought about that. I don't care. That sounds mean and crass. No, here's what I care about. Teaching people the truth, talking about things, meeting people where they are. It's not my job to lead them to Christ. Oh, just say this prayer and you'll be saved. No, just be there for them. Just be a good friend, challenge them, tell them the truth. And do you know what? God can do his job. Because if I just emotionally sway somebody to saying some silly prayer, and that's not me. That's just not me. And we're here just putting this out here. We are being critical of the Christian church and many Christians. We are not being critical of the Bible, Christianity, or even really any doctrine in any Christian, Catholic, Orthodox, mainstream Protestant. We're not critical of any of their doctrines. We are critical of their behaviors.
It'd be nice if they bothered to follow their doctrines at all. So I'm going to pull up this comment. Andrew, this is absolutely true. And
Yep.
a good part of what we're trying to do here is to, and particularly talking about contempt as much as we have, is to try to educate men so that they can see it coming sooner.
Right.
But for
I didn't
some of
see it
us,
coming.
yeah, that's
Didn't see it
exactly.
coming.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't see it coming either. And so that's part of why we're here. We didn't see it coming. We want to teach men to see it coming sooner. And that does mean that, and the church is going to take issue with this, our message will likely be the cause of some divorces. Because we taught men how to see it coming sooner. To which I have to say, okay, that's the price.
Okay. Let me
churches start
provide
doing
a
their
little
job
bit
then.
of clarification here. All women at some point don't respect their husbands.
Yes.
It happens frequently. And then when they don't respect their husband, they exhibit contemptuous behavior. Okay, so if you can recognize the contemptuous behavior, you can use your frame and you can deal with it. Because that's just a behavior. That's not full-blown contempt.
Mm-hmm.
So if she shows contemptuous behavior towards you, and there's consequences, there's correction, and there's frame, and there's leadership, okay, you can kind of nip it in the bud. But if it grows to full-blown contempt, it's beyond your control.
Yep.
And I will say, I had one elder. He was an elder emeritus. And he said, look, I've seen this play out. Once she has it in her mind to go a certain way, there's nothing the church or you or anybody can do to change a woman's mind.
Not all the
He
church
actually said
elders are.
something that was true. He said something that was true. He was an elder emeritus in the OPC. He was the wisest guy there, right? He's actually one of the few that had my back, right? Did they ever listen to this guy? Or did they just say, oh, he's just this old fogey, we don't lead? The boomers just dismissed him.
Not all your elders are evil and out to get you. That's, and you know, we talk a lot about the church and the elders. And it is important to make it clear that we are talking about the general case, not all of them.
But you will especially see this with the boomer generation, unfortunately. And I'm sad to say it's been passed down even to the millennials. Some of the millennials are waking up. The Zoomers are kind of saying, forget this.
You know what's going to happen in the future? After the boomers all die, you will especially see this behavior in the millennial generation.
Actually, I don't know. I don't think so. This is getting a little off topic, but
okay.
One of the for the millennials, this behavior is installed. It is not natural. It is not something that they themselves created and believed in. I know it's kind of a silly movie, but the Inception, one of the key plot points of that movie is that it wasn't. You couldn't just install this idea. The person had to arrive at this idea themselves. And in terms of psychology and propaganda, that is actually true. So for the millennials only adopt these ideas because they see their elders adopting them. Right? Okay. And so they think to themselves, oh, well, this must be the right thing because they are my parents. They love me. They would never do wrong by me, etc. When the hand of the boomers leaves, I think you're going to see that the millennials are the most violently. It will be the most violent in terms of how they react going the other way, and you're starting to see some of that already now. In the last election, the biggest movement was millennials moving blue to red. Okay. And I think you're going to see, you're just going to see more of that as the boomer influence fades over their lives. So that's how I think about it. Yes, there will be about 10 to 15% who are ideologically captured by whatever. That's true of every generation. They all have them. The boomers have their rebels. The Xers, the Xers, they set themselves up as rebels. So being a rebel Xer means putting on a suit and going and, suit and tie and right. And doing the IBM corporate drone job. Right. And the millennials will have theirs too. But
No,
I want to.
I don't disagree with you at all. I was kind of saying it from a different standpoint.
Okay.
Whatever generation, there's going to be a consensus of people in that generation.
Yes.
Are going to tell you what to think, how to think, what to do.
Yep.
It's going to be a different flavor, but once the boomers' influence is gone, yeah, if the majority is telling you something and it's millennials, yeah, they're probably off and wrong and missing something. And so you kind of have to stand apart.
Yeah. And maybe we need to do an episode on this because I don't know that I think we've touched on it before, but I don't know that we kind of really went into it. So we've talked about the generations, but we mostly focused on the past. But if you look at the past, we can kind of play forward how it will look going forward. And for our followers right now, the millennials, and you can see this already, are hyper focused on two things: safety, but also group consensus. Where the boomers are very anti-group consensus. They're very individual liberty minded. And while the millennials, are currently operating under the ideological framework of the boomers, the ideological framework of the boomers is fundamentally incompatible with the psychology of millennials. And so, we talked about morality recently and the notion that that a shared morality is a good and necessary thing. And I don't remember if I dived into it much, but the millennials are not only desperate for a shared morality, they will create one. And we might not agree with everything they create, but this will set up the morality of the next 80 to 100-year cycle. So they will do it, but they cannot do it yet because of their boomer parents still hold sway over their lives. So maybe I need to put together an episode on that, but
that'd be good.
Okay. I can't promise
discussion.
Yeah. I get. Is that what we're doing next week, or do we have something else planned? Can't remember.
I think it's your turn.
It's definitely my turn. So, okay, guys, I guess you know what we're talking about next week. We get to go down some demographics and psychology and stuff, group psychology specifically. I'm going to have to pull out my notes because the world to come is going to look very different than the world you're used to, and it would be good to talk about what that might look like in general terms.
Well, guys, any closing thoughts about our topic about Dalrock and Eat, Pray, Love and Fireproof?
Dalrock was ahead of his time. And in a lot of ways, the stuff he talked about there is only imprecisely talked about now.
Yeah, we don't do as good a job as we used to. And I think that stems from men used to get together and hash this stuff out on forums. They used to sit down and write posts and think before they spoke. Now it's all just a cacophony on YouTube and tiny posts on Twitter. So, guys, I'm going to call it Twitter till I die. Um,
Yeah.
so, I, yeah, it's, to me, the thing looking at this, you can see going back that there is nothing new. The truth is still the truth. And the fact that these, the Christ pill just being the latest iteration, it's still the same false bullshit.
So, guys, again, I fought for I reacted against complementarianism, egalitarianism in the church. I saw the problems that were inherent in it. I went back and I researched patriarchy and the hierarchical views of, especially, I did the early church, I looked at the medieval sources, but I did an in-depth research in Latin and English texts on reformers and post-Reformation theologians all the way up to the 19th century and beyond about hierarchy and patriarchy. Again, it doesn't address all the behaviors as Dalrock does, but it does give you the framework and structure of reality and natural order, natural law. So seeing the behavior of women and their rationalization in rebellion against the Bible, rebellion against natural order and the hierarchy is really helpful seen through Dalrock's lens. And he explains the behavior very well. So I recommend everybody to look into Dalrock's blog, which you can find at the Red Pill Archive. So you look at Red Pill Archive, you can find Dalrock there. A lot of good articles and material, and I suggest you read it there. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. I don't know if there's a show this Saturday. I believe
There
we'll have a
is.
show this Saturday. Okay.
And if I recall correctly, Elena has a guest this week, and
Oh,
I'm kind of she's not in the chat right now. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, I think this is Shaw is joining us.
That sounds right.
yeah.
That'll be good. He's a good guy. We had him on here once before, and yeah, I'll enjoy our chat.
Yeah,
Join us Saturday.
yeah, we're gonna talk about dowries because he's big on dowries, and
Awesome.
and we have some questions for him. So yeah, that'll be that is sure to be interesting. So yeah, join us on Saturday too.
And then join us next Wednesday for Plutarch's episode on demographics and how they think.
Future forward. I really, this time I want to focus on where we're going. In part,
thank God we're not going to talk about the wrong thinking of boomers. Wow, great.
Steve, you
All
might
right.
be getting a little ahead of yourself there.
So,
All
guys,
right.
if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe.
Yep, and we'll see you.
Yeah. Bye.
There was a firefight!
fucking son of a bitch!